this is a fairy story that everybody knows, or at least they think they know. And I will begin it in a very traditional way with Once Upon a Time. Once upon a time there was a village, and in the village there was a house, and in the house there was a family, a mother, a father, and a little girl. And the mother and the father loved the little girl very much. Once upon a time there was a village, and next to the village there was a forest, and in the forest there was a cottage, and in the cottage there was an old lady, and the old lady loved the little girl very much, and the little girl loved the old lady very much because the old lady was her. And her grandmother loved the granddaughter so much that she spent every penny she had on some bright red fabric, from which she fashioned a cloak with a hood, the kind of thing you wear if you went riding. And the girl loved her grandmother so much she wore it everywhere she went, so that people started to call her Riding Hood. You know this one? Oh, really? One day, Little Red Riding Hood's mother said to Little Red Riding Hood, "Your granny's not feeling very well. Could you take this basket of apples? I'm so pleased. I keep getting from children cakes and biscuits and fruit. She needs some fruit." Okay, takes this basket of apples to your grandmother because she's not feeling very well. But make sure you stay on the path. Do not leave the path because the forest is full of dangers. There are thieves, there are brigands, and there are wolves. And Little Red Riding Hood promised that she would stay on the path. So off she went into the forest. La 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 la. They got Radio 4. La 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 la. As she was skipping through the forest, somebody picked up a new scent. I smell little girl. Little Red Riding Hood skipped along the path, around a corner, and there, leaning against a tree, was a tall, handsome wolf, who looked down at the girl and said, "Hello, little girl. Where are you going?" And Little Red Riding Hood said, "I'm going to see my granny. She's not very well. I've got a basket of apples for her." And the wolf thought to himself, soft, succulent little girl for pudding, and crispy, crunchy grandmother for starters. But he said to Little Red Riding Hood, "You mean you have no flowers? You should pick flowers for your grandmother." But Little Red Riding Hood's mother had said to her, "Don't leave the path." But the wolf said, "But look, the flowers are ever so close to the path." And Little Red Riding Hood, foolish, foolish child, left the path and picked flowers. La 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 la. The wolf hightailed it to Granny's house. He knocked on the door. He heard Granny say, "Who is it?" And the wolf said, "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood." And Granny said, "Come in." So the wolf went in, and do we go to the cupboard?
No. He ate her up.
He ate her up. And then, oh, actually, I missed out a bit. Hang on, I have, haven't I? I've missed out a really important bit.
Guys, you.
No, hang on. If he's going to eat Granny, well, so if you're vegetarian, just stick your fingers in your ears and go la 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 for a moment. If you're not a vegetarian, and for me, I love roast lamb, am I going to eat roast lamb with the wool on? No. Well, Granny's wearing a fantastically warm Winceyette nightie, and so the wolf strips her first, and then he eats her. Then he puts on the nightie and the hat, and climbs into bed and waits. He doesn't have to wait long until he hears, coming towards the cottage, la 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 la. He hears a knock on the door, and he says, "Who is it?" And he hears a voice say, "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood." And he says, "Come in." And Little Red Riding Hood opens the door, she goes in, and there is Granny in bed. And Granny says, "Oh, Little Red Riding Hood, Granny's feeling sick. Come and give Granny a cuddle." Hang on, sorry. Let's just take a step back. Do you eat lamb with the wool on?
No.
No, you don't. So the wolf says, "But Little Red Riding Hood, your clothes are so dirty. Take them off and come to bed with me." So Little Red Riding Hood takes off her clothes, climbs into bed with the wolf, snuggles up, and then she realises that something's not quite as it should be. Yeah, well, there are lots of versions of this. And it doesn't just stick with eyes, ears and mouth. We can work our way up the body, but we'll stick to the one. So we'll stick to, "My granny, what big?" And the wolf says,
All the better to see you.
"My granny, what big?"
Ears.
And the wolf says,
All the better to hear you with.
and she says, "My granny, what big?"
Teeth.
And the wolf says, "All the better to eat you with." And Little Red Riding Hood says, "Stop! You can't eat me!" And the wolf says, "Why not?" And Little Red Riding Hood thinks for a moment. She says, "I need a wee." "You don't want to eat me full of wee, do you?" And the wolf thinks about it. "Actually, I don't care." And Little Red Riding Hood says, "Stop! You can't eat me!" And the wolf says, "Why not?" And she answers, "I need a poo." "You don't want to eat me full of poo, do you?" And the wolf says, "I don't know, actually I do care about that one." So Little Red Riding Hood makes a bargain with the wolf. She ties a rope round her wrist, gives the other end of the rope to the wolf, and she tells the wolf she'll go outside, go behind a tree, and the wolf agrees to this. So she goes outside, passing the rope under the door, closes the door behind her, she goes behind a tree. Does she have a poo?
No.
I've cleaned this up. You noticed that? I've cleaned this up for this audience, yeah. Does she? No, she doesn't have a poo. Of course she doesn't. She unties the rope and ties it to the tree. So when the wolf pulls on the rope, he thinks she's still there. And then she runs for her life through the forest until she finds a woodcutter who sees the strangest sight. A naked little girl running towards him, screaming about her grandmother being eaten by a wolf, who is transvestite, in bed. So the woodcutter goes to investigate. He knocks on the door. The wolf says, "Who is it?" And the woodcutter says, "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood." And the wolf says, "Come in." And Little Red Riding Hood goes to the door, the door's closed, and listens carefully, and all she can hear is a little swish, and a... So now, if on the campus you see that girl, and you may well do, please do not shout out, "Hello, Little Red Riding Hood, how are you?" Because for now, she has changed her name. And now you must greet her as Little Wolf Skin Coat. And that's the story of Little Red Riding Hood, and that's how you and I have told it. And that's how Tracy and I have told our stories with you. Thank you.